Right, 20th of August, page 67. We have this program we have to finish. What we've done so far, well, we know the generate 20 random passwords code was given to us. Checking for one password over here. We check the password, and then we basically added that password and whether it's strong or weak to the two list boxes. We didn't add it to the array because the arrays are fixed at 20. Take note the arrays, these are two arrays here. AR passwords and AR strengths are two arrays parallel to each other, each with 1 to 20 available boxes. The password array has been filled when we run the program. When we run the program and generate 20 passwords, can you see it gets displayed? Of course, we have to clear the list boxes before we do a re-display of anything. And the test password button worked. And we can go and put in a random password here and see if it does what the strength is. And they're saying the password is weak. And then what we did, we added it to the list box. So that's what we've done so far. Then the other button that we had to do was check all. Check all is going through every single password in the array called AR passwords and checking to see if each one, whether they're strong, whether it's a strong password or a weak password. So far we got to this code. For m equals 1 to 20, that means going through every single box of the array. So double click your button for check all and we'll have a look. The M for loop is going through each box of the array. So we get S line from the array, index number M or box number M. We're going to initialize our counters for our digits and our letters and our special characters to 0 before we go through that string called S line. And this for loop for K equals 1 to the length of S line is going through S line and checking to see if it's a valid password. We did that yesterday, so you can go and watch that code. Then at the end here, we have to say, just like we did in the test password button, if all of these things are true, the counters for the characters, we do it after this inside for loop. We ask the question, if the length of the password, well, I should actually say length here, of S line, if that is greater than or equal to 6 and our count is that, and all of these conditions, it's better to put them into a nice order so we can see what it means. And we must know, what is this end over here? This is the end of the for loop to go through the array. So this is the end of the for loop to go through the array. Now, the conditions of the strength of the password have to be the follows. If the length is greater than or equal to 6, if the number of digits is greater than or equal to 1, and so on, all of those conditions must be true, and then we can do begin and end. Else, we'll have another begin and end. So take note how you lay out your skeleton code, then you fill in the missing pieces afterwards. You must know where all of what your ends mean. End of procedure. Check all. Yes, I will. I am recording. It is important. So we have all of those things. What are we going to do if the password's strong? Well, we'll add the word strong or weak to the ARR strength array, we will also, oh, what else are we going to do? No, we're not going to do anything else. Just going to add it to the array. We have to remember the array is going to be in memory, and only afterwards we can take all of those items from memory and display it in the list box. We can do that later. You know, we can clear the list box and then go through each box of the arrays and display them in the list boxes. But in the meantime, all we're worried about is getting the right item into memory. So let's recap. We have the outer for loop going through each box of the array. Now we're in the inner for loop, which is going through one box. In other words, one string from the array box that's busy being active. That's noted by integer m, for loop counter m. M is a for loop counter going through each box. We do our checks, which we discussed yesterday. If the password is valid, then we're going to basically put ARR strength box number m colon equals, and I can't remember if I have to use the word strong or what. I presume you use the word strong. And if it's not, in that box number m that we are busy with, we'll put these words. We do not really need begin and end there, but it's a good practice to put it there because maybe you want to do two things. Maybe later we find out we actually do want to do two things. So, hey, I think the word was strong and weak that we're putting in. Yep. Says add the password as well as okay. After we've done that, in the click all button, we do the record in the array, display all the passwords as well as strings in the thing. So that's all we have to do. But after we have done all of that, we're now going to display both arrays. And the only display components we have are the list boxes. Now, how do we do that? Well, first of all, we clear all the list boxes. So it's list box, LST passwords, LST strength, LST passwords dot clear, and LST strength dot clear. Before I move on, just take note of how we're using the for loop m, for loop counter m, outside this inside for loop. This inside for loop was only going through the string, and then m is going to be whatever number it is. If it's 1, then the corresponding ARR strength, box number 1, will be filled. That's the end of going through the array. We're going through every single box of the array. And now we're all going to go through every single box of the array again for m equals, using a for loop counter, 1 to 20, do. We might as well say begin and end. We have 2 list boxes to add items to. LST passwords dot items dot add, and we're going to put a string in there, and we're also going to add to LST strength dot items dot add. So here's where you're going to go, or you might get confused. What string are we putting inside there? It's a string from the array. So ARR passwords, is that the name of the array? AR passwords and AR strings. Passwords, square brackets. What is the for loop counter here? It's an M in this case. I know we used a K before, but we're using an M. And the other thing is AR strength, square brackets, M. Right, that's the end of that. And now you run your program and see if it works. I'm going to do a quick run, see if there's any syntax errors like we had before. No, so we'll do the next exercise just now.